What's the deal, everybody? Yusuf Smith here, real estate investor. Today's video is a must-see video. It's packed with information about getting your offer accepted in today's market and in any seller's market. It's an interview with rockstar realtor Angelina Jones. She talks about strategies that you may not have heard before. It's packed with information about getting your offer accepted, what to look for in a purchase and sales agreement, mistakes that most investors make in trying to get their offer accepted and trying to sell their home. A lot of information is here. Please watch it till the end because she has a lot of tips and a lot of resources that can help you. And if you are a realtor, this is a must-see video as well. Just a lot of information. Please watch this video and we're going to go right into it now. All right, so what's the deal, everybody? Yusuf Smith here, real estate investor with vital information for investors and home buyers. Today, we're talking with real estate agent Angelina Jones of Metro Brokers. Angelina has just been given the fastest growing agent award from HomeSnap, which is a Metro Brokers partner. She's a graduate of the Accelerator program offered to new agents with Metro Brokers. Angelina is a member of the Black Girls in Real Estate group and the Atlanta Ladies of Real Estate. She also closed on a property with me this month, 2 houses on 1 lot. And she also closed on a 4-unit property with me last year. So she is amazing. And so you want a real estate agent that is doing closings, that is closing deals right now. So that is very important. So we're going to talk about specific ways to help investors and home buyers be successful in today's market. But first, Angelina, just tell us a little bit about what led you to real estate and how did you become a real estate agent?
Well, honestly, I've always been in customer service and sales. Every job I've ever had has been customer service and sales. And then from there, I kind of branched onto customer service, sales, commission-based jobs. And I did really good. My first commission-based job was with AT&T. I was a retail wireless consultant. Um, Through there, I literally, the first year of me being with AT&T, I was promoted to senior wireless sales consultant, which is like a step up. And I did really good. I did really, really good. And I had a friend from my hometown. He came into AT&T one day and he had just got his license. And I told him, I said, give me the information and I'm gonna, look into it. So I looked into it. He didn't believe me, but I enrolled in the same school he went to. And I did it. I passed the class. And then from there, it's just been great. It's just been great. And I love it. I love what I do. My passion and my purpose is to help people. And in this field, I just love what I do. I just love being able to help people to change their lives through home ownership. I just absolutely love that.
And that is what I love about real estate, also being able to help people in so many different ways. And I know you have the passion for it. And I just see it every time I see you. Someone actually mentioned to me, hey, have your guests, drink coffee or an energy drink before you interview them. But I said, Angelina doesn't need that. She's got energy all the time. Every time I see her, she's got positive energy. So that is great.
And thank you.
And so let's talk about a little bit about real estate and the market, because you're in the market every day. And so what do you see? How is the market right now, and in general, how is the market?
Well, the Atlanta market this market is so aggressive right now. And of course, we know it's a seller's market. Sellers have the upper hand right now. There's more buyers than sellers at this point. We're in a low inventory kind of state. And so when you have low supply, what happens? Your demand goes up. So because the demand is so high and we don't have enough inventory, what's happening right now in the Atlanta market is homes have went up over 11% from last year to this year.
Wow.
The median sales price for homes in the Atlanta area is 309. It's 309,000.
Wow.
Now, the cost of lumber from last year was $900. This year it's at $3,000. So that's another huge factor into why the prices of homes have increased as much as they have. But it's definitely a seller's market. It's great if you're, wanting to sell. And if you're wanting to buy, it's not bad, but it's like you have to have strategic ways to get your offer accepted in this aggressive seller's market right now.
So can you talk about some of the ways that maybe a first-time home buyer or even an investor in this market, how can they get their offer accepted? What are some things that they can do to get that first deal done?
Well, some of the things that both buyers and sellers can do to get their offer accepted is to kind of loosen up on some of the terms of the contract you present to that seller. Like maybe you shorten some of your due diligence days. We're finding that a lot of people don't want to go over 3 days due diligence. Another thing that you can do is shorten your appraisal and contingency days. That's another thing that a lot of people are doing in order to win their offers, in addition to already getting your lender to pre-approve you. Instead of doing a pre-qual letter, go ahead and get a pre-approval letter because it's stronger than a pre-qual letter. So it's just really being strategic with the terms of your contract and making it desirable for a seller to accept it. Sellers right now in this market, they're not paying closing costs. So if you don't have closing costs,
right,
then it's going to be really, really hard. Another thing that, sellers want is they don't really want to, they just want like the shortest term, shortest contingencies. And then if you are going to offer above asking price, they want you to put that in the contract in an addendum that you agree that if this property does not appraise, you agree to pay the difference. So you just have to really, really be strategic. You have to make sure you have your, ducks in a row, make sure you have your financing on point, get with your lender to go ahead and give you a pre-approval, get all of your documents turned in that they will need, and even have your agent speak to, whenever you make your offer with a seller, you have that agent call your lender to kind of let them know where you are as a buyer and how strong you are with your financing to make it more desirable. Because right now, sellers are getting multiple offers on their listings, and it's getting to be a highest and best offer situation with all of them. We've never seen sellers going under contract in 2 to 3 days.
wow.
That's what's going on. People are, it's really aggressive. So you just got to be aggressive, and you got to be willing to, make your terms desirable, and you could win that offer for sure.
Yes, those are some good tips. And so if an investor or a home buyer doesn't have, say, the typical 20% to put down, are there some other ways that they could still get into this market, get into a home at this point?
Yes, there are some other ways. Depending on the property and the amount of the property, some sellers are willing to do a seller financing situation, just depending on their situation on that property. If it's something to where they really need to get up out that property, they just want to be done with it. Maybe it may be a court situation. Some sellers are willing to put up the financing to help out the buyer just to get rid of that property. There are a lot of different programs for investors and people that are wanting to tap into this market. They have actually lessened the terms and the credit scores of people that want to tap into this market. So it's really just finding a lender And then with that lender, asking that lender every possible program that they have that you could try to get under to help, you get into this market for sure.
Right, right. And I'm sure you have seen some mistakes that first-time home buyers or that investors make in putting forth their offer. Can you talk about some mistakes that they might do, that don't get their offer accepted?
Right. I definitely can talk about some mistakes. Some of the mistakes being made is the having that pre-qual and not the pre-approval letter. Showing a proof of funds. Some people don't show that proof of funds, and depending on the seller, if they're asking you in that listing to provide a proof of funds, then your agent needs to make sure you not only send that pre-qual, but you give them that proof of funds. Some other mistakes that I see, for example, one of an investor client that I know, not my client, they didn't want to do an inspection. They didn't do an inspection and the house had faulty wiring and it burned down. The house caught fire. So, although you're an investor and, typically investors, you kind of close a little bit faster. The terms aren't as tight as some of the FHA and conventional loans. You kind of shorten things and you kind of move around different, but I don't care what you do. You got to get your property inspected. I don't care if it's a $30,000, $25,000 property. You must have an inspection on it. And just, you know, not turning in documents, not getting things to the lender, not communicating, not being available to get access to these homes. Just make yourself available. The market is aggressive, so you have to act aggressive to get what you want. Because trust me, there are about 20 to 30 other people that are in line waiting to make an offer on that property. And you didn't even come to the appointment we scheduled for you to see it, So, just being on top of it, making sure you have all your ducks in a row and ready to go.
Good advice. And I had worked with another agent years ago, and I did not do an inspection on a property. And the agent kind of encouraged me not to do the inspection so that we could close faster. Thankfully, nothing happened. But I think back to that's pretty risky, not doing
Oh,
an
yeah.
inspection and buying a property. So that is definitely good advice.
Definitely. If the house isn't 2 to 3 years old, then you definitely want to do an inspection for sure. And I would even say with the house that's that age, I would still tell my client to do it anyway, just to be on the safe side. You never know why that person's moving out that house they only been in for a year or two. So yeah, definitely get an inspection every time is my advice.
Definitely. And so I hear a lot of investors say that it's always better to work directly with the seller than to work with an agent. What's the selling point of an agent? Why should someone work with an agent as opposed to directly working with the seller? What does the agent bring to the table for the investor or the buyer?
Well, what I would say is the agent is going to have the client's best interests. Our interest is above Your interest is above our interests. So we put you at the top. We're going to make sure that, things are in order with this seller. We're going to make sure that, there aren't any other names attached to this. Like, we can kind of look at tax records and do our own little due diligence and things to make sure that, this is a good deal for you. You know what I'm saying? But the seller, working directly with a seller, he can hide facts. He can hide things, and he doesn't have to tell you everything he knows about that property. He doesn't have to tell you about that leak he had 3 years ago where it completely flooded the top floor that went to the second floor. He doesn't necessarily have to disclose that. And as an agent, when we provide that seller's property disclosure, if he doesn't disclose that information on that document, then we can go to court and we can hold him liable for that. A lot of times when you're working with a seller, you're probably going to buy that property as is, unless y'all have some type of contract in writing that states, but it's better to work with an agent. The agent's going to have your best interest, and they're going to make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of, and they're going to make sure that you're doing a good deal for sure.
And I've also noticed in working with agents, working with you, that the network is great. The fact that you know people that can get me financing, that can do closings, title companies. The networking, is a good part of working with an agent as opposed to working by yourself, just trying to find all these little pieces, property management, all of that yourself. When you have an agent that can help you with all of that, that's been a big selling point for me.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely, to have somebody handle your finances, to have somebody make sure and check that title and make sure the title doesn't have any defects. The seller is not going to tell you that his brother-in-law actually owns the property. He's just trying to sell it. So then you'll be stuck with a property that you really don't really have ownership to. So definitely all of the networks that you just stated, yes, that is definitely some pros of working with the agent opposed to working with the seller for sure.
Okay. And some of my viewers and listeners are first-time home buyers.
Mhm.
Uh, can you talk a little bit about a purchase and sale agreement, and what are the important parts of a purchase and sales agreement that the a buyer or even a seller should be aware of?
Some of the very important parts of the contract, a purchase and sell agreement, is your dates. Make sure your dates are adding up. Your due diligence, make sure you know when your due diligence ends. Because in the event you get an inspection after due diligence, if there's anything wrong with the property, then it's going to be up to you to, to fix that property, to amend, and fix repairs and things like that. So due diligence is super important. Make sure you have an account of your binding agreement dates, because a lot of times that's the date from due diligence. It'll start from the binding agreement and date to however many days in due diligence. You also want to be, very mindful of any stipulations, any stipulations that you put in your contract. Make sure you know what they are, make sure you understand what they are. Another thing you want to be very, very understanding of is your appraisal and your finance contingency. Because once your appraisal and finance contingency runs out, and if anything were to happen with the appraisal, or the lending, that maybe you don't qualify anymore, well, you won't get your earnest money back.
Right.
So just making sure you have a clear understanding of the days for your appraisal and your finance contingency, the amount of days you have from your due diligence, and the date that you went binding is very, very important. Make sure you know when you have to turn your earnest money in, because for any reason you don't turn that earnest money in by that amount of days, the seller can terminate the contract, and his agent is going to advise him to terminate the contract if it isn't in. So just being very, very mindful of like all of the days, because once you sign and the seller signs, you're binding.
Right.
You're binding. So, you just want to be very, very, very careful with that, and make sure you understand and read the fine print for sure.
I know those dates are important to keep track of, because even
Yes.
I have lost track of the date, and you were like, hey, the date is coming up, so
Right.
keep, keep track of those
Yes.
dates,
Very,
definitely.
very important. Very important.
And so anyone looking for an agent, what would you say are the qualities in an agent that a buyer or seller should be looking for when they're buying or selling their property?
I would say somebody that's passionate, somebody that is very responsive, somebody that is trustworthy, somebody that you can communicate with and talk to, and that really understands your needs, making sure that you explain your needs and that they understand those needs and that they tie those two together. I would say, somebody that shows empathy, somebody that is going to to negotiate and be able to facilitate these deals for you, that's going to follow that deal from the first moment we're under contract on through. They're going to communicate with you. They're going to, be on top of documents that need to get turned in. Just somebody that's going to be responsive. And in this aggressive market, you need an aggressive agent. So somebody that's going to be aggressive and get the job done and know how to write that contract up right, to where, it benefits you as well. So definitely all of those qualities: passionate, driven, determined, ready to get the job done, ready to communicate, responsive. All of those things are great qualities that an agent needs to have, especially in this market.
Definitely. And as you talked about, this is a seller's market, so you do need to have a good agent. If you are a buyer trying to get that first property or trying to get any property, having a good aggressive agent, I would say, is very important. And along those lines, finding the property or the home or the multifamily unit, what are some strategies for finding a great property off of the MLS, or any other strategies that you would think of for finding a great property?
Well, it just depends. It depends on the need of the client. Are you wanting a property where there's already tenants in place that, are paying a certain amount? Are you wanting, to be in a certain area to grow more properties in that area? It just really depends on what the client, what their need is. And then from that need, tying it back to the systems and the tools and the resources that I've been provided as an agent to be able to meet those needs. So as far as me, I use every single search engine possible to find properties. I also look for off-market properties. Of course, being an agent, you have access to like your MLS websites. You have access, to Zillow and Realtor.com and Redfin and Open Door. There's so many. But sometimes you have to find off market. So like what I like to do is I like to farm different neighborhoods. So whatever neighborhood my client is interested in, or whatever area they're interested in, for my buyers, I will farm that neighborhood and I will make calls. Sometimes I'll even go out to that neighborhood and knock on doors. It's just, sending out postcards and, because right now, with it being such a low inventory market, you have to think of other ways to try to get inventory, because it's not coming on the MLS. Like I've been looking for a client and it's like the same couple of homes every day. It's just like, and then before you know it, those homes are under contract. So, for me, I've been trying to find more off-market properties, for sell by owner properties, for my clients, in addition to new construction. New construction has gone up drastically. So that's been, we kind of pulled back from that a little bit. But it's just utilizing all of the tools and resources you have, but also thinking outside of the box to gain access to inventory, because it's a low inventory market.
So you're kind of guiding your buyers away from new home construction right now. Is that?
I have,
Yeah.
yes. So the reason why I had a scenario with my client where we found a subdivision. I would say it was like late February. Well, they weren't going to release the lots until end of April. So, we signed up for them to let us know the date they released the lots. When we started the end of February, the property for the smaller 4-bedroom was like $270. The larger 4-bedroom plan was $280. Well, by the time they released the lots, they were at $305. 305 for the smaller bedroom and $308 for the larger bedroom. Not to mention, new construction subdivisions are in multiple offer situations, just like a resale home. It's not like, okay, you walk into their office and like, okay, I like this floor plan, I want to go ahead and sign up. You write it up, and now it's like we had an appointment to put an offer in. It was so many other people waiting. Our appointment was at 3:00 and we weren't seen until 6 because it was so many people. So our offer didn't get accepted. that 305 was pushing it because we were literally at like budget was 300. So,
Right.
270 to 280, we was like, okay, yeah. Then when they released the lots, they completely increased them so much. So, and that's what's been going on. Like it's just been crazy. It's been a struggle. It's been hard. But like I tell my clients, where there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
And we just keep pushing, keep pushing. But I was on a call yesterday and they were saying, like, right now in this market, buyers literally have to put in about 10 offers before you'll get one offer accepted.
Wow.
This is what's going on in this market. So, I just try to communicate that to my buyers as well, because just because we're putting an offer in doesn't mean it's going to get accepted, guys. So we got to be open-minded to the possibility of us not getting it. So yeah.
And I know, and you mentioned telling your client to keep pushing, and I know that's something also that you want in your agent to,
Mm-hmm.
kind of encourage you to keep going, because I know in a couple of our deals, we were at a point several times where it didn't look like it was going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and to to have a lot of times you need somebody to tell you, hey, keep on going. It might not work this time, but maybe there's another property. Just keep on going, and you'll get something. And you definitely want that in an agent.
Definitely. I tend to be an optimistic person, and I always try to think positive. Like, that I just try to think it's going to work out, and
Right.
I think if you have that mind frame, like, even if it doesn't, you're like, okay, well, let's just keep pushing, move to the next. So, yeah, you got to be optimistic, especially right now in this business.
Definitely. And so, you talked about the MLS. Now, do agents the only ones that have access to the MLS, or can anyone get access? And is that the same properties that are on Zillow, Redfin, these other sites? Are those the same ones that are on the multiple listing service?
A lot of them are, yes. And as far as access, I want to say you have to have a license to get access. Like, even if it's not a real estate, maybe like a property management license or something like that. I want to say you have to be licensed to get access to the MLS in order to have access to that. I want to say you're licensed. And then as far as, yeah, most of these, Redfin, Open Door. Now, Open Door, some of their homes, I haven't seen an MLS. So Open Door is one of those ones. Zillow's also, Zillow is kind of iffy. Some properties you might see and some you might not, because they just got bought out by another big company. And so that bigger company has been doing some things to where they've been switching up some things to where not everything is coming in the MLS. But yeah, for the most part, yes, it is pretty transparent. When you see it in the MLS, we'll typically see it on those other websites.
So
Yeah.
it's probably best to look at multiple
Yes,
sites.
it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
I will say about 10 different sites I search. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do multiple, because Georgia MLS is different from FMLS. So what I might find in FMLS might not be in Georgia MLS, and then vice versa, because they're not transparent. Like, they're not connected at all. So, you definitely want to use multiple search engines to find homes.
And that was something I didn't know. Georgia MLS. Someone else said that, and I hadn't thought about that. That the Georgia MLS is different from the FMLS. So
It
there's
is. It
more.
is. There
There's
are two
different.
separate entities for sure.
Okay, that's good to know. Can anyone search the two, or is it just one that the MLS that?
If you pay for both of them, yes, they are two separate charges that you must pay to have access. Yes.
Well, let's get to our final closeout questions. I'm going to ask you a few questions
Mhm.
about books, blogs. Are there any information that you read, or is there any books or information that you read that you could recommend to anyone starting out, or even anyone wanting to be an agent that you've read recently?
Well, I like to look at Inman Connect. I have a newsletter that comes to me every day. And when I tell you, Inman Connect has everything, all the information real estate, like deals that are going to happen, companies that's buying companies, strategies. I mean, just so many great reads on that. And it's Inman, INMAN Connect. And I get the newsletter every day. My subscription is like $57 a month, but you don't have to necessarily do the subscription. They have different various plans you can do. That's a really good one. As far as agents, like wanting to get into this business, there are a couple different people that I watched on YouTube right before I got into it. As far as like studying and study habits and tips to help you pass the real estate exam, I would say on YouTube, his name is the Prep Agent. It's the PREP Agent. He's amazing. He breaks it down into layman terms, because reading that real estate book, it could be like so confusing with the terms. Like they use all these big words and, but he breaks it completely down. He breaks down the math. I mean, he's amazing. He gives you like little tests and exams you can take. And he also has a course to help you as well, that you can take his course. Another great person that I watch on YouTube that's awesome. He's a coach. His name is Tom Ferry. He has a coaching program. I would say in this business, it is good to have a coach. Now, you don't necessarily have to go through him, but you can utilize your broker, because your broker will have someone that will be able to coach you, especially being new in this business. You want to have a go-to person that you can ask questions and things like that. So Tom Ferry, the Prep Agent, they're both on YouTube. And then Inman Connect is something that I read daily. I read it daily. Another great read for like all of your real estate tech kind of news is Redcon. They're a real estate tech news paper, article, whatever you want to call it. And they're really good. They give you a lot of good feedback on different tools and systems you can use for yourself to, if you're not under a broker that has those things, then you can kind of pay and they tell you the best systems and resources you can use. As far as books, I love like motivational books. So I will tell you guys a couple books that I've read that are just amazing. Who Moved My Cheese? I can't remember who that's by.
I read that. That's a good book.
That's a good book.
It is. It definitely is.
Who Moved My Cheese? I got all my books in my I have an office in my bedroom and I have a lot of books. But the Keller Williams book, How to Be a Millionaire in Real Estate by Keller Williams, is a great read. For anybody wanting to get into this industry, it's a great read.
I've heard
As
that.
a Man Thinketh is a great read. You have to get your mind right to tap into and be your own boss. You have to get your mind right. You have to, because our mind can cripple us at times. So you want to make sure you have your mind right. I would say anything that's uplifting your mind, anything that's giving you more knowledge to the industry, and anything that's just going to make you have tools and give you the tools and resources to become a better person in general. Those are the books you want to read, especially being in real estate, because you deal with a lot of different personalities, and you want to know the different types of personalities. It's another good book. What's the name of that book? Where it kind of breaks down the different personalities, so this is how I need to interact with this type of personality. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but I will get it to you though. I'll get it to you.
Well,
But
those are some good ones that you mentioned.
Yeah,
I've read Who Moved My Cheese, and I've read As a Man Thinketh, and the Keller Williams book. I'm going to read that one because
Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Such a great read.
That was on my list now too.
Yes, I have all, like, man, when I tell you I read a lot of books. I
I'm
love
right
books.
there. I'm right there.
It's
Whenever
good.
somebody recommends another book to read, I think just reading books, I mean, that's the way you grow, you continue to get
Mhm.
better, and you don't stay
Yes.
in the same place
Right.
that you
Right.
were. So
For
definitely.
sure. For sure.
And you talked about the Black Girls in Real Estate group and the Atlanta Ladies of Real Estate. Can you tell me a little bit about those two groups?
Well, the first one is a group that is just, it's amazing because it's all Black women and it's all of us empowering one another, uplifting one another, you know, planning trips and conferences and seminars together, providing information for one another, resources, tools, networks, and all African American women. And we're growing. We literally have 40,000 people join this week alone. From last week to now, 40,000 people joined. So, and it's just a really, really uplifting group. It's a bunch of African American women that are entrepreneurs in real estate that are uplifting and motivating one another. We all have a common goal. We're all here to, you know, uplift one another and share any information and tools and resources we have to help the next person.
Well, how can somebody, well, we want to get your information and we want to get those two organizations' information. How can anyone who wants to get in contact with them and how anybody that wants to get in contact with you, find out more about you, use your services, how can they do that? Where can they find you?
Well, as far as the Black Girls in Real Estate, we have a Facebook group. So all you need to do is search the Black Girls in Real Estate, and just add us. You'll go through a couple questions, and then, you know, as long as the questions meet the answers meet the questions that, you know, we ask you, you won't have a problem getting in. So that's one way to join the Black Girls in Real Estate. As far as me, you can reach me at my phone number is 470-880-6261. You can reach me at my email address, Angelina.Jones at metrobrokers.com. You can also reach me on Instagram, rockstar underscore realtor. And then I have a Facebook page, Angelina Jones. You can reach me there. So yeah, and then I also have a business line is 404-843-2500. So yeah, email, text, social media, I'm always available. I will always respond. So just reach out and I look forward to speaking to anybody.
Well, thank you, Angelina, for talking with us here today. We really appreciate it. I know, as I said before, I've worked with you on a couple of properties now, and you are amazing, an amazing real estate agent, a rock star, as I put it. And I know anyone that works with you will get that same service, that same energy that you provide. And I'm just glad that you were here and able to give that information to listeners, anyone viewing, investors, first-time home buyers. And I really appreciate you being here today.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you for inviting me. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. Thanks again, Angelina. And that's it for our show today. And please find us on YouTube. What's the deal? Yusuf Smith. This is the interview with Angelina Jones, Rockstar Realtor.
All righty. Thank you so much. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Well, I
You
hope you
too.
guys enjoyed that interview with Rockstar Realtor Angelina Jones. There was a lot of information in that video, so go back and watch it again. Watch it a couple of times because the resources that she gave, the tools, the tips that were there, you need to watch it a couple of times to really get that knowledge and really be able to use it. Go out and use that information that she gave about this market. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Yusuf Smith. Follow me on Instagram, Yusuf A. Smith, and Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere you can find me. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.